What's up, JD? We're going to give it like 30 seconds for the media to file in. Hey, media, thanks for joining us today. We're going to start with Jake DeBrusk. If you have a question for Jake, you can get your hand up now. We will go first to Jimmy Murphy.
Hey, Jake, how are you?
Well,
First two questions. One, just your reaction to the fine for the cross check.
yeah, it was warranted. Obviously, got my stick in a dangerous position there in front, and kind of realized it as the play was kind of going on. Obviously, he went down, pretty hard. He was able to come back. It didn't necessarily hurt him. So, it's one of those things where it's a heat of the battle. You're kind of in front of the net, and I just kind of lost where my stick was, and fine's a fine. It's a warning. It's my first thing with player safety, so I understand that's obviously not okay, and it won't happen again.
And then second question is, if an opposing player stomped on the spoke B at the middle of the ice, TD Garden, would you hug him after the series?
What?
Well, no, I'm just wondering. I don't know if you saw what happened with Kyrie Irving, that he stomped on the Celtics logo.
I actually didn't see that. No.
Oh, okay. And then the Celtics are getting a lot of flack because they were pretty friendly with him after they were eliminated. I'm just wondering what your reaction would be.
I don't know how. It would be a great reaction. I think there'd be probably some stuff going on at the time of it, but handshakes are handshakes, right? So you obviously respect your opponents. Played some series where there's some pretty intense things going on, but I guess it's kind of hard to compare, to be honest with you, bud.
Yeah, it's okay. You didn't see it. Thanks anyways, man.
Gary Santinello.
Hi, Jake. You grew up watching Taylor Hall. You've watched him play in person since the trade deadline, and you got to ride on his line the other night. Any different perception, reaction to actually playing on the same line with him?
Yeah, it was fun. Obviously, playing with a guy that has some, speed of that level is something that, playing with him in Crutch was obviously a good experience. But like I said, just his speed and stuff like that. And like you said, kind of watched him a lot growing up. And, we all had pretty good looks. I had a look there in front of the net. Halsey had about two, one in overtime, and Crutch had one in the slot as well. Obviously it's all about production, but I thought that we did well considering. It was kind of a similar vibe to when we had Rick on that line a couple of years back, and obviously this year's been wild for me, so I haven't really played with Crutch either. So it was kind of one of those things where I just was trying to bring my compete and do my best I could.
Thanks.
Joe Haggerty.
Hey, JD, just wondering if team-wide you think there are any adjustments that you can pinpoint that need to be made going into Game 3?
Yeah, there's adjustments after every game, win or loss, and obviously, goes overtime. Those are tight games. We watched some video today of some positives and some things that we can change. It's not necessarily the craziest stuff. It's they're making adjustments over there as well, but it's just more so things to focus on and understanding the tendencies of their team and how they play, how they generate offense, and how we need to generate more. And obviously, give them credit. They're a very good defensive team, so it's not going to be an easy task. And it's one of those things where it's going to be an exciting Game 3. It's obviously a big game for the series here, so that's kind of what we're focused on.
Matt Porter.
Hey, Jake, when you're playing the right side, how have you grown more comfortable with taking passes on your backhand? Like, is that something you're ever really comfortable with, or how much do you work on it? How has that process happened for you?
I think it happens throughout the year. Obviously I've been on the right side the majority. The amount of times I played on the left side. So, it's one of those things where you just get game reps. It's the best way to kind of go with chemistry, let alone playing on, your offside, stuff like that. There's still things that I'd obviously like to work on and, contribute more in the sense of kind of just zone entries and wall work, especially with playoffs and how teams play, they're pinching every time. So not necessarily every time. There's pressure on both sides of the puck usually. And, it's one of those things where you pretty much have to be forced to get comfortable in those situations, or else, it's going to be in your zone the rest of the shift.
Last question, Chris Ryan.
Hey, Jake, just your kind of upshot as to where you see the team at this point. Like, obviously, the second period was challenging for you guys in game two, but do you like the way the team has played? Is it more just kind of a carrying what you've done in those first couple games into game three?
Oh, we try to build. That's the message that we get, is try to build each game. And obviously, like you said, they came hard there in the second. It wasn't necessarily, maybe it was a little bit of our fault as well, but you got to give them credit. And they made their push. We had our push in the first, they had the push in the second, and I liked their response in the third. Obviously, coming back like that against a team that is notoriously defensive is not a very easy thing to do, and that just shows our character in our room. Obviously, we've been nicer to get the win there, but I think our team is right now. It's a pivotal point in the series. Obviously, we just went through this with Washington in a sense, and just previous years. Game two is kind of when the series really begins, and game three kind of in that range. So, it's obviously a big game for all of us. And, I have confidence in our group. Obviously, it's not gonna be an easy task. They have a good bar in there. So, it's one of those things we got to weather the storm and bring our composure.
Thanks, Jake.
Cheers.
Media next up, we'll have Carson Kuhlman or Bruce Cassidy. As a reminder, if you no longer have a question, to please lower your hand. If you do, you can get your hand up now. Hey, Cooley, we got the media here. I'll take the first question from Steve Conroy.
Hey, Cassidy, how you doing?
Hey, doing well, thanks.
Just want to get your general thoughts on how the night went for you on Monday, and the general chemistry with Charlie.
Yeah. Obviously played a number of games with Charlie and Rich as well, actually, in the past. So pretty familiar with them. Obviously, getting that goal right away was nice for myself and our line's confidence, just to get one early and kind of loosen up and play from there.
Thank you.
Jimmy Murphy.
Hey, we're just talking about adjustments with Jake there, and I'm just wondering, what have you learned by the way this veteran core, Patrice, Krejci, those guys, Brad, are able to just reevaluate and start fresh and move on? How valuable has that been to you?
Oh, it's awesome. You said it. Starting fresh, especially after loss. I think we've been great after losses and bouncing back, and they really preach not getting too high or too low. They've obviously been through this so many times that they've kind of been in all the situations. So they really lead by example, and it's easy for us to follow those guys.
Matt Porter.
Carson, Bruce speaks about, this being a very professional group. And I know that he, kind of just leaves you guys alone, doesn't interfere with the locker room a lot. I'm curious, how does he connect with you? He's much older. You guys have hockey in common. You can always talk hockey, but does he do anything special to connect with kind of younger players? Do you notice that, or does it not even matter?
Yeah, no, it matters. It definitely plays a part. I mean, we're with the coaching staff and obviously the rest of the team for a long time throughout the season. A lot of hours at the rink. It's mostly business though. I mean, we come to the rink and we all know our jobs and we take care of it here. And obviously, singular focus right now is just winning these one game at a time. So I think we do a good job of everybody focusing on that.
Kevin DuPont.
Carson, a lot of younger players go through this period of deferring on shots. Good chances, maybe pass them up just because of an unseen pecking order, if you will. Has that been your experience at all in terms of being a younger guy having to get over that? And if so, what does it take to get over that?
Yeah, definitely. I think earlier in my career, for sure, you think you should be moving the puck, but as you go along, and then the older guys will tell you if it's an opportunity to shoot. That's kind of our one of our team strategies is getting pucks to the net, getting bodies to the net. I think we've been really successful with it. So at this point, if you got a clear lane and you can kind of send a puck to the net, obviously shooting to score. But also creating a rebound and maybe somebody else on your line gets to bang one home. So kind of gotten over that, but I do see it with a lot of younger guys, I think, passing up shots from wherever.
And what does it take to get over it? Just the confidence that you can score on the shot, or just hearing it enough from the guys to do it?
Yeah, I think it's a combination. I think maybe if you pass up one or two early on and you kind of hear about it both times, then you will turn the page and then maybe shoot the third and fourth one, and then something good will happen. And usually when something good happens, whether it's a rebound or you beat the goalie clean, that's in the back of your head, and you'll continue to do it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Last one, Chris Ryan.
Hey, Carson, there's been a lot of talk about how good the Islanders are on the forecheck and the type of pressure they put on the defenseman. From a forward's perspective, can you guys do a better job in terms of providing, that support, those outlets for the D? And has that been, an issue at all for you guys?
Yeah, that's obviously a strength of their team is they bring the forecheck. They're not afraid to be aggressive and get three guys down, and sometimes send the D down and pinch along the walls as well. So I think our D have been doing a great job making the first pass and getting us out of the zone. But definitely as forwards, we can do our job too, especially us as wingers, winning our wall battles and getting out of the zone a little bit cleaner and help everybody out.
Thanks, Carson.
Yeah, thanks guys, appreciate it.
All right, media. Last up today will be Bruce Cassidy. Another reminder, if you no longer have a question, you can lower your hand. If you do have a question for Bruce, you can get your hand up now. Hey, Coach, we'll go first to Steve Conroy.
Bruce, how you doing?
Terrific, you.
Very good, thanks. Just a rundown on the health of the guys. Looks like Smitty's good to go, or is he?
He looks a lot better, Steve. That's a good development for us. We weren't sure, to be honest with you. But he made it through the entire practice, did a little work early. So that's a positive. Obviously, tomorrow morning, let's see if there's any residual effect. If not, then I assume he'll be in the lineup. Kevin Miller not ready. Zaborov's getting closer if we go down the road. So that's good news too, that he's back in a normal color jersey. So the rest of the guys are status quo. If there is anybody else that I missed, maybe.
Tuukka looks fine too.
Well, yeah, he's fine. I don't, Tuukka's been ready to go every playoff game, so there's no issue there. Someone asked me the other day, I think he just, like a lot of guys, has a few things here or there. He said something, but he's ready to go. He's practicing full today, and he'll be in the net tomorrow night.
Okay. And with Lauzon, where's your confidence that he stepped up mentality to be able to park what happened at the end of the game and just move on?
He's a confident kid. If you watch him, he tries plays out there more than most that have his experience level. So I'm not worried about that part of it. I think the message to Jeremy for the most part is now moving forward. Listen, we're all on to game 3. Game 2's over. And is be true to your identity. And that is, in simplest terms, like, you have to be at your best to keep pucks out of our net. And that's your first job. That's what you're good at. That's what you were, why you got into the lineup. You were obviously hard to play against, and, willing to block shots, be physical, all those other things that go along with that, but hard to play against and keep the puck out of your net. And that starts with good defending. That starts with a good stick. Was what we addressed with him the other night. I thought there was areas his stick could have been in better position, specifically on the PK. Offensively, we have certain things we like to run in the O zone. The other one didn't work out the other night. We addressed it, but he still has to make the plays that are in front of him. And he's going to be like everyone else in our team, Steve. He's going to make some good ones and other ones that could have been better. So we'll keep encouraging him, working with him. He's a great kid. He'll be in there tomorrow night and hopefully helps us win.
Kevin DuPont.
Bush, 2 questions that are sort of opposite end of the spectrum. I was just asking Carson about being a younger guy in the group of younger guys who will often defer on shots. And I'm wondering, from your perspective, what does it take to get them over that?
Well, that's a good question, Kevin, because I think it's natural. Every once in a while you will get the opposite, but you're right. Typically, guys will look to defer. Some of it is they haven't scored at this level, so maybe their confidence isn't where it needs to be. Maybe they want to fit in and keep the guys that want pucks in certain areas happy. But at the end of the day, I think it just becomes repetition of games and some production. If they start producing themselves, they'll get the confidence to know that they could shoot it past the goalie as well. And when it's their turn to shoot, they should. So it's probably a little bit of all 3. I think you see different personalities walk through the door that you have to work harder on to get them to break through, to be a little more selfish, understand that shooting the puck is rarely a bad play or a selfish play. But I don't think there's an exact science to it. I think it's just, like I said, a little bit of time. Sometimes, obviously, the guy he's playing with, encouraging him, the older guy to say, hey, listen, we all win when you score. So, if you feel that you can, then shoot it. So that comes into it as well.
And this one's related to not necessarily that question, but the other day you were saying you would rather deal with a player you sort of have to choke back in terms of what he's trying or not trying. And when you were saying it, I automatically thought of Connor Clifton in terms of
that's fair
tempering him.
Yeah.
Is he sort of the exhibit A, if you will?
At times, yeah. And that's what we love about Connor. He got his own nickname, Cliffy Hockey. Who gets that their first year? So there you go. That tells you a little bit about right there. He's not afraid to do things. Guys, love us compete in the room. He practices hard. He's willing to try different things. And for us as a staff, it's our job to sort of get him to buy in or understand that this is a better league. And there's certain things, yes, you can try and you might get away with. Other things, guys are just better and they have good sticks and they're going to read things. So you got to sort of understand that part of it. And some of that comes with experience, knowing who you're playing against, and some of it knows time and score, when to try it. But I like the fact that he wants to do a little bit more. I stick by that. I think most players that excel and eventually find their way in the league come from or cut from that cloth much more than a guy that's, I don't know if timid's the right word, but and there certainly are guys that survive in the league that stay in their, their comfort zone and do what they do best. But I think for the most part, if you want to get the best out of any player, you have to allow them some rope, not so much that they sort of trip over it or strangle themselves, but at the same time, try some things and see what they can get away with and where they fit in.
Matt Porter.
Bruce, with if Smith is back in, would Jake come out?
No.
Okay. So I'm curious how you've seen Jake just in that last game adjust to, playing the right side and, against this particular team. Are they attacking him, trying to get him on his backhand? How has he come through that? How have you seen that process play out?
He's played on his right side for a long time, so moving him up a line didn't change that. He's played with Coyle and Ritchie, so that part of it shouldn't be an issue for him. Both right-handed centermen. As for how they're attacking him, I don't think the Islanders changed their game plan for Jake DeBrusk. Personally, I think their D-sag in the neutral zone and their second layer will track back into the zone to try to push it to the outside. They protect the middle of the ice. Now, as a defenseman, on a one-on-one, when a guy's on his offside with a lot of speed like Jake, yes, that's an individual thing. Just like if Marshy came down his offside, it's a little different because you don't want them to cut back into the middle because they're on their forehand right away. That's the danger of a guy in his offside coming down on you one-on-one. So you want to push him outside, give him a little room outside, invite him outside, and then hopefully ends up making a play on his backhand, which is a lot easier for the goaltender. So I think he would do that with anybody. And that's what makes Pasta pretty good on his offside. He has that move where he kind of looks like he's going to cut inside and he throws the puck between his legs and all of a sudden he's around you. He did it in overtime the other night. Saw him do it in Washington. So that obviously makes a player special and that's tough to deal with, but that's how I assume they'll defend anybody in their offside.
Last question, Joe McDonald.
Butch, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you only played one game at the Coliseum. What's your recollection of that game, playing in that building?
Well, we tied the game. I was with I only played with Chicago, and there was the tying goal. I believe it was in the third period. There was kind of a defenseman. I want to say, I keep forgetting if it was Deneen or a guy that's been in the league a while. His family. Anyway, he went to go D-to-D behind the net to his partner, and he shot it right in his own net. And that was the only goal we scored that game. It's a goal I'd never seen something like that. I've seen a lot of own goals, guys around the front of their net sort of make plays like that to try to clear it. But this was went right by the goalie. I want to say it would have been Billy Smith back then. But anyway, that's what I remember. And I think Troy Murray got credit for the goal. Probably the easiest goal he ever scored in his life. It was just one of those bloopers. That's what I remember. I didn't play a whole lot back then, Joe, so nothing exciting from my end on the ice. But that was an interesting goal.
But what do you think it's going to be like playing a playoff game in that building?
Well, I think it's great. I love the old buildings. I know that, listen, things, progress and you build newer stuff and more amenities and better amenities and revenue generating and that. I still have kind of a fondness for those old buildings. Seeing all the sweaters hanging from those Islander teams. I watched them play a lot growing up. And I think it'll be loud. It should be. It's playoffs. I hope it is. That's the way it's supposed to be. The Garden was rocking the other day, and I'm sure the Coliseum will be rocking. So, you can use that to your advantage too as a player, I think. Get you going. So that's what I suspect will happen. It looked like that was what's going on against Pittsburgh in Game 6, and I assume that what I hear is they're opening up to a few more fans, so probably even louder.
Thanks, Coach.
Yep.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, media.